Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams go, life is a barren field, frozen with snow. And now I'll be moving into my literature section of my FPT. You Don't Know Me is a novel by David Class, which discusses the topic of physical abuse through the character John, a victim of abuse, and a 14-year-old boy. John is abused by his stepfather, Stan, who is also known throughout the book as the man who is not my father. And the book is centered around John's experiences as an adolescent and a victim of abuse. Throughout the novel, John displays incredible resilience. In the quote I'm about to read to you, John is furious at his mother for bringing Stan into his life. David Class states, "You may have created my past and screwed up my present, but you have no control over my future." From page 7 of You Don't Know Me. John refuses to let anyone take away his right to control his own future. Also, John displays remarkable courage throughout the book. In the quote I'm about to read to you, John is confronted with an attack from Stan because he got home late from the holiday dance. David Class writes, "Instead of running away, I set forward to meet the charge of the man who is not my father." And from page 247 of You Don't Know Me. Also, as a reminder, the man who is not his father is another name for Stan. At this moment, John refuses to die without trying to save himself. How does John, a 14-year-old boy, compare to Augustus Caesar, the first emperor of Rome? Augustus Caesar, who was, as I said before, the first emperor of Rome, who had might so furious that he often drove his enemies to suicide. Augustus Caesar displays resilience and courage because he defeated the powerful and rebellious Egyptian regiment of the Roman Empire, and he avenged his great uncle, who is Julius Caesar's death. Augustus Caesar is analogous to John because both of them retaliated against an enemy much more powerful than them. For Augustus Caesar, this was when he attacked the Egyptian regiment, which had a great army. For John, this was when he attacked Stan, even though Stan is physically much stronger. Also, both of these people have refused to back down when faced with an impossible challenge. For Augustus Caesar, this was when he was forced to attack his superiors, who were the assassins of his great uncle Julius Caesar. And for John, this was when he had to fight him back, even though he knew he couldn't win. Now I will be transitioning into the math portion of my final performance test. To recap, In English, I show how John displayed resilience and courage. And in history, I demonstrated how Augustus Caesar showed the same two traits in a similar way to John. For my math graph, which is in front of some of you, if you do not have a graph, can you share it with the person next to you? The question for my graph was, which character showed the most courage? A. Hiram, B. Esperanza, and C. Melba, and D. John. All these characters are from separate class novels we've read this year. And the results of the graph were as follows. Melba received 13 votes, John received 9 votes, and Esperanza and Hiram both received only 1 vote. These answers are split, and some of them support my claim that John shows the most courage out of all the characters, but some reasonably believe Melba showed more courage than John. As shown, Melba received the most votes, and John received the second most votes, and Esperanza and Hiram both received the least votes. My claim was somewhat supported by the evidence shown on my graphs. And I will move on to the conclusion of my final performance task for 6th grade. And to close out my final performance task, I'll be reciting another poem by Langston Hughes with a similar title called The Dream Deferred. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Or does it fester like a sore and then run? Maybe it stinks like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet. Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? And thank you for listening.